Good morning, English language learners. I am Arham, and today we'll be looking at the final part in our three-part vocabulary video lessons, all revolving around eyes. So, in the last part, we had looked at some miscellaneous idioms that related to our eyes or which contain the word eyes in it. So today what we'll be looking at is we will just be looking at some other random ideas related to our eyes, which will be a good vocabulary lesson for you. So let's begin. The first thing that I would like to discuss today is what are eyes or what is an eye? Well, we do know that the eyes are on our face, right? And we usually have a pair of eyes. Well, eyes can also be used in other ways. For example, the eye of a storm. What is that? It is quite literally the center part of a storm. Have you ever seen those conical shaped hurricanes? And they are air pressure vacuums which basically suck and cause destruction and do a lot of things. I'm not very scientific about it, or I'm not very well versed in the science behind it, but I can tell you one thing, that right in between or inside of that air pressure zone that we have is the eye of the storm. And the eye of the storm is usually calm, and it does not have the same properties that the rest of the storm has. You may have heard of storm chasers, or they're called storm hunters, or maybe even storm fighters. What they basically do is they go in planes. Firstly, some of them like chase storms with their video camera, with their vlog cameras, and they track the trajectory of a storm, follow its path, all of that. And some of them go in planes and they try to go inside of the storm till they reach the eye of the storm. Once they're inside the eye, then they can do better research. They can take that footage to scientists, show it to them, and we can understand more about these natural disasters. The second meaning of eye could be, have you ever seen a sunflower? Well, the middle part of that sunflower, which is where all of its pollen situates, those little dots, that prickly part, that is called an eye. So the eye is the central part of a flower. We also have an eye in a needle. Have you seen that little small hole, which is very intricate, delicate, takes a lot of skill, adroitness to put that to put the thread through it? That is called an eye. And quite literally, that eye requires you to squint and put it in with a lot of dexterity. Not an easy job. The third thing that I would like to refer to with regards to our eyes is this concept of an evil eye. An evil eye is a cultural or religious idea which basically implies that there are these unforeseen or unseen forces around us, which perhaps, if they see something pretty in us, something nice in us, something valuable in us, could attack those things, could attack that pretty, valuable, nice thing in us and remove it or take it away or destroy our life in that way. So in order to counteract that, some people like to wear or refer to the evil eye. The evil eye is this sort of amulet which has an eye on it, and they think that it will ward away or protect them from these evil forces. One of the last things that we'll be looking at this time around in terms of a video lesson on eyes is the parts of an eye. You may have visited this in science, you may be familiar with this, but we'll just talk about a few areas which perhaps we could right now revise. So one thing is, of course, this is our eyelid. Then we have this part, the innermost blackest area, which is the one which sometimes dilates or contracts, which expands, dilates, contracts. When you put light in it, is called our pupil. It's always black. Even if someone has colored eyes, this particular pupil is always black. The thing that does have color in it is called our iris. and it usually is not just full of color, but it's full of patterns, and everyone has a unique iris, unique color and the pattern. The last thing that I would like to talk about is being myopic. What does it mean to be myopic? Well, literally in science, it means to be short-sighted, meaning you cannot see things except for things that are very close to you. But to be myopic can be used in other senses also. So, for example, if you are myopic, you cannot see the far vision. You're not far-sighted. You're not a visionary. You're not a forward thinker. You can only see things that are flat in front of you. And in that sense, to be myopic is not really a compliment, right? So what are some things that you might be doing which perhaps could make you seem to be myopic, or which others can call you myopic over? So I would love to know your answers about that. I would love to end our 3-part video series on the eyes with a quote from Rumi. Rumi was a great spiritual and intellectual thinker back in the 1200s. And he said, sometimes we should close both eyes to see from our other eye. I just love that quote, because we've been constantly talking about how important our eyes are to us throughout this 3-part series, that eyes are so important, they're so important, they're so important. They help us to see, they help us to discern between right and wrong, they help us to steer and navigate across our life. But he says, why don't you close your eyes and then you'll be able to see with your other eye? I would love to know your thoughts on that. And that wraps up our 3-part series on the eyes. I hope you had a lot of fun and a lot of knowledge also you gained. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.